slot machines in the United States generate more revenue than baseball, basketball, and football combined. Not from jackpot winners, from people who sat down to play for 20 minutes and were still there 3 hours later. Walk onto a casino floor and you stop hearing individual sounds. You start hearing a room. Every slot machine on a modern casino floor is tuned to the key of C major. Not each machine in isolation. Manufacturers settled on the same key so that when 100 machines run simultaneously, their sounds do not fight each other. They form a chord. The casino floor has a key signature. You have been inside a composed piece of music every time you walk through those doors, and the composition has one purpose: make leaving feel like the wrong thing to do. It does not stop at pitch. Every machine, every ambient speaker, every section of the floor feeds into a centralized audio network that operators adjust in real time. The high-limit section runs lounge music. The main floor runs rock. Premium players are calmed. Everyone else is activated. The soundscape is tiered by customer value, the same logic that changes the carpet, the lighting, and the drink service as you move deeper into the building. One design team spent a month perfecting a single ding on one machine. One sound. Less than a second. A month of professional time. Because the people building these machines understood something for decades that the people playing them haven't. The sound is not decoration. It's the mechanism. Bill Hecht, audio engineer at IGT, one of the largest slot manufacturers in the world, described on record exactly how the coin sound was built. Multiple recordings of quarters falling on a metal tray, layered with falling dollar coins, fattened until the result portrays wins much larger than the actual payout. His words, not an inference. The physical event the sound references, coins hitting metal, the cascade your brain associates with weight and real money, hasn't existed in most casinos since TITO systems replaced coin mechanisms across the industry in the early 2000s. The acoustic memory of winning was preserved in composite form and piped back into an environment from which the actual thing was quietly removed. And IGT's fake coin sound is distinct from Bally's. Different manufacturers developed proprietary audio signatures for the same event that no longer occurs. They branded the sound of money that isn't there. In the early 1990s, a slot machine had roughly 15 sound events across an entire session. A spin starting, reels settling, a win tone. That was the complete library. Today, a modern multi-line machine averages more than 400 individually programmed audio triggers per session. George Sanger, a sound designer who worked on these machines, described the production process in 2009. He said it was done by committee, and the committee always wants it more exciting, with no consideration for any dynamic range in what is being portrayed. Always more, always escalating. 400 events is not a feature count. It is a full-time occupation for your auditory cortex. While your eyes track the reels, your ears process an uninterrupted stream of manufactured emotional cues. You are never in a neutral state between decisions. The sound fills every gap with something that registers as significant. even when the mathematical result is nothing. In 2010, IGT was granted US Patent 7,666,098. Gaming device, having modified real spin sounds to highlight and enhance positive player outcomes. When you press spin, the random number generator decides the outcome before the reels begin moving. The visual display is a performance staged after the decision. What the patent covers is a system that detects the predetermined outcome during the spin animation and modifies the soundtrack accordingly. Different key, different tempo, different musical style, while the reels are still turning. When you are not winning, the music stays neutral. When you are winning, it shifts and builds before the reels have stopped. Your brain reads that change as momentum, as the machine responding to something. The reels have not landed. Nothing is confirmed, but the sound has already announced what your nervous system is about to receive. The decision was made before the performance began. The sound is the curtain going up, not the event. Modern video slots run 20, 40, sometimes 100 pay lines at once. You're betting fractions across dozens of outcomes simultaneously. That structure is what made one of the most consequential mechanisms in modern gambling design not just possible, but invisible. Researchers at the University of Waterloo named it losses disguised as wins. LDWS. You bet 90 cents across 30 lines. 3 lines hit. You win back 30 cents. Net result, you lost 60 cents. The machine celebrates, jingles fire. Animations run. Win appears on screen. The audio is functionally identical to what plays when you actually come out ahead. In a controlled study, 96 gamblers played slot simulators with 28 true wins mixed into 200 spins alongside a matched number of LDWS. When asked how many spins they had won more than they wagered, players overcounted, filing LDWS into the win column because the celebratory sound had marked them as wins in real time. Skin conductance measurements confirmed it. Physiological arousal on LDWS was nearly identical to arousal on genuine wins, and both were significantly higher than on silent losses. The distinction between winning and hearing a win sound is a cognitive one. The body does not make it. Now consider the business model underneath. Scholl's 15 years of field research found that over 90% of casino revenue comes from players in continuous losing play. The machine is not optimized for producing winners. It is optimized for sustaining losers who do not experience their losses as losses. The LDW is not a bug in that system. It is a load-bearing wall. When you win, you pause. The brain needs a moment to process, register, recalibrate. In basic reinforcement research, a meaningful reward produces a temporary stop before the next action. In a casino, that pause is where the cash-out thought lives. University of Waterloo researchers measured it precisely. The pause scales with the size of the win. The bigger the win, the longer the stop, the wider the window, where you might think, I'm ahead. This could be the moment. Modern machines fill that window. The bigger the win, the more elaborate the celebration. Sounds layering, animations escalating, the jingle extending until the sequence ends and the spin button is lit again. The silence, where a decision might have formed, never arrives. This is also why the UK Gambling Commission banned autoplay and turbo mode alongside the sound regulations in 2021. Autoplay eliminates the pause entirely. Turbo mode compresses the real animation until the post-reinforcement pause has nowhere to exist. The sound ban and the autoplay ban are two regulatory responses to the same mechanism: the machine's systematic removal of every natural stopping point in human behavior. The post-reinforcement pause exists. The machine just doesn't let you have it. When you lose, nothing happens. No sound, no animation. The reels settle and the machine waits. That silence is as engineered as every sound that preceded it. Over hundreds of spins, your brain receives one consistent signal. Sound means event. Silence means discard. The machine trains your attention in real time, marking wins as significant, letting losses dissolve. In the University of Waterloo study, players were dealt exactly 28 true wins across 200 spins. They overcounted consistently because losses disguised as wins had been cataloged as wins by the celebratory sound that marked them in real time. The silence on losses didn't just help them forget the losses. It helped the machine reassign which category certain outcomes belong to entirely. You can walk out $60 down and feel like it ran reasonably well. Not because you weren't paying attention, because the sound decided what was worth paying attention to and made that decision 200 times before you stood up. In 2021, the UK Gambling Commission banned celebratory sounds on losing outcomes in online slots. It was the first regulatory body in the world to directly target losses disguised as wins, LDW. It seemed like a clean fix. Researchers from Cambridge assessed 26 popular online slots available to UK players under the new rules. 17 were still using win-associated sounds on LDW outcomes. 18 were using audio that a panel of 400 UK gamblers independently classified as celebratory, every time without exception. The products had adjusted just enough to pass a surface read, not enough to change what a human brain does when it hears them. Because what makes a sound celebratory is not a technical specification. It is a neurological response. The industry spent decades learning which frequencies, cadences, and melodic shapes trigger arousal, and it knows exactly how close to the regulatory line it can operate without crossing a threshold anyone can legally define. The same commission banned autoplay, turbo mode, and mandated a minimum 2.5 seconds between spins. They were the most aggressive online gambling regulations in the world. The sound architecture adapted around all of it. Natasha Dow-Schüll spent 15 years on casino floors in Las Vegas. What she documented in Addiction by Design, published by Princeton University Press, was that problem gamblers do not describe slot machines as a way to win money. They describe them as a way to enter a state. They call it the zone. Daily worries gone. Social awareness gone. Sense of time gone. Players in the zone are not playing to win. They are playing to stay there. Over 90% of casino revenue comes from these players. Not winners. Not tourists. people sustaining continuous play in a state where the outcome has stopped mattering. Sound is the architecture of that state. The C major floor that makes the room feel coherent. The fake coins performing a transaction that no longer exists. 400 audio events filling every gap. Win sounds marking losses as victories. Celebration sequences consuming every pause where stopping was possible. Silence erasing what should be counted. None of these is the trick. Together, they do not influence individual decisions. They dismantle the conditions under which decisions get made at all. One design team spent a month on a single ding. That's the scale of investment, which tells you exactly what the return looked like. Over 90% of casino revenue comes from people who stop trying to win and just stop trying to leave. The sound is why stopping feels like the thing that does not make sense.